Hi there, I'm Amy Kunkel and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and blogger at crazybeautiful.com. I'm going to show you today how to make this paper rose, and just to give you some perspective, it's kind of a smaller rose. It's not super big. I use a combination of the small and the large petals on the Bouquet Bigz Die. So I'm going to get started just by showing you how many of each you need. And I just cut my designer series paper into 1 3/4 inch strips. And it takes about 2.5 strips like this to make my flower. We're going to be using these 2 petals right here. Okay, and you can cut about 2 to 3 layers of your designer series paper with each pass of your Big Shot, because the paper is fairly thin. So you're going to cut 5 of this size petal here, the larger one, and 10 of the smaller petals. When you run them through, sometimes they stick together, so just count out your petals here. And I'm just going to lay them out in what will be the layers of your rose. So starting with the center and working your way to the outside, we'll do the large petals as the outer layer there. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take each of the petals, and with your bone folder, starting kind of at an angle from the middle, you're going to just curl the petals back. Okay, so that's going to give it kind of a natural look. It looks like a natural real petal, and you're just going to go through and do this to all of them. Okay, the next step is we're going to set our top 2 and our bottom ones aside for now. And you can see I have these clothespins here off to the side. They are the mini in color clothespins, and I'm going to be using them today to hold my petals in place while they dry. Now I'm using our mono liquid glue, our Tombo liquid glue, and we're just going to take and overlap the bottom. You can see there's the slit in the bottom of your petal. You're going to add a little bit of glue, and it really just takes a tiny bit. You're going to overlap it and then just set it aside to dry. We will be doing the same thing with our larger petals, but I don't have that many clothespins. So you do get more when you buy the set of clothespins, but I've used them for other things. So we're just going to work on these for now and set those petals aside. Take the 2 that will be our center. I'm going to use an old paintbrush and just wrap this petal around the paintbrush, and we're gonna glue it. If you would like to try to maintain a little bit of the curl of that leaf, you can kind of do that, just, kind of glue it like that. So you're really just gluing it to itself. Don't glue it to your paintbrush. Just glue it to itself. And then the next one, we're going to take that seam from the first one, and it's going to glue down onto the middle of the next one. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive there. And they'll both kind of line up on the top, and this one will wrap around the other. Okay, so I like to just take my one of my free clothespins and hold that tight while it dries. I'm going to turn on my hot glue gun because once you get to adding these like cup-shaped petals, it does get to be a little bit difficult to wait for it to dry. So I'm going to just turn on my little hot glue gun, and that'll allow me to have more control over my assembly here. Okay, another thing that you'll want to have handy is this is a floral piece of straight floral wire. It's 22 gauge, and I also have floral tape here for putting my flower onto the stem. And then I have a tiny little bead here, and I really just take apart necklaces, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to slide it down about 6 inches and then fold it and twist it a little bit. So this is going to help to hold my stem and my flower together. So I'm just going to set that aside and move on to my flower. Okay, so I have the center here. I'm just going to add a little bit more glue to my center because I don't think that it held very well. And I might even add a little bit of hot glue. Okay, then you can build on top of this with the paintbrush in here if you would like. At least for the first round of petals, I feel like it's helpful to have something to really push up against. So I'm going to start with my hot glue, and I'm going to take the next 3 petals so I know what I'm trying to evenly space the 3 petals around my center. So I've got my 3 petals laid out, and I'm going to add hot glue just to the bottom of that petal and press it up here up to the center. So you still kind of want your petals to be like flush and even at the top, and I'm gonna move around. The idea then will be to put this one about 1/3 of the way around, and the last one will complete that circle and that first layer. So you're flattening the cup a little bit against the center that you've created and up against the paintbrush there. Okay, then this last one, sorry, I keep moving off camera. This last one will complete that first layer, okay? Now, I also have a quilling tool that I have found to be helpful in really turning these petals backwards and giving it a more natural look. So you might, you can do that really at any point. I'm gonna get rid of my paintbrush. Okay, so then you want to lay out your next 5 petals. And actually, while I have these free clothespins, I'm going to overlap the bottom of these larger petals and glue them in to that cup shape. Okay, now I'm going to be finished with the wet glue, and I'm going to go ahead and do the rest with my hot glue gun. So the idea then with the next layer of petals is that they are evenly spaced around what you have started already, and also that they would cross over the gaps that are created by the previous previous petals. So I'm just going to start building. I am still maintaining the hole that's through the center of my flower that the paintbrush was in, and that's gonna just help me later to put it on my stem. So you can kind of keep that in mind. I'm not adding these underneath the center that I started. I'm actually adding them more to the side of the other petals. Okay, and for my last one, I'm just going to try to pick a spot that looks like it's even around the ones that I have already. And my hot glue is getting kind of stringy, so, and curling your petals back will just kind of be a preference. However, however you like it, it's your flower. Okay, so what I did is I just kind of took that piece that we overlapped and I just am bending it down a little bit, and that's where I'm going to put my hot glue. And again, just kind of going on the side of the petals that I've already added. Now you can see that one is considerably larger than the others. So it's this last layer of flowers, of petals, excuse me, is really going to finish off our rose nicely. Okay, so I've got 2 petals left. These 3 are down here, so the other 2 are going to go up here on the top. So you kind of want to plan ahead as you are putting your petals on. All right, there we go. So that was my last petal. I'm just going to let these 2 dry. Sorry, off camera. Last petal. There we go. And you can add additional hot glue as needed. I can kind of see I have a little gap right here. So I'm going to add a little bit more glue there and make sure that's nice and secure. And I'm going to show you how to put the stem through, and then we're going to go ahead and add a couple leaves. And as that bead gets closer to the bottom, I'm just going to add some hot glue to hold it in place. Okay, so you can kind of move that around a little bit and just get that hot glue on that bead. And that's going to create the base for our flower. Okay, for my leaves, I'm going to just I've cut 3 of this leaf right there. And I like to just take my stylus from my Simply Scored and just give it a little bit of a vein. So I'm doing it on my die because it's a soft, like foam pad almost, that is allowing me to score the leaves. So these really just go on with a little bit of hot glue right under the bottom of your flower. If you would like to curl them a little bit, you can do so. Probably before you glue it on would be a good idea. Okay, so to finish off your flower, if you want to come back and curve these anymore, you can. I think a little bit of a curve is nice. It's totally up to you. And then I'm going to just take my floral tape, and if you would like to add a little bit of hot glue, that helps to hold it in place up here at the top. And I'm gonna just wrap it around a couple times. That'll kind of get a good base started for me. And just turn it as you continue to go down. And there you are. You have a beautiful paper rose. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.